Generally, how do you blanket correctly in the winter months, and thinking about switching between light, medium, heavyweight? How do you make those choices?
So I'm going to rephrase the question.
Okay.
Because when I think about blanketing, the first question that comes to my mind is, do I even need to blanket? And so the things I think about then are, where do you live? So, geography matters. Is your horse clipped, or does he have a full coat? Is your horse healthy? Because if it's like an older horse, or a horse whose body condition score is low, or is thin or unhealthy for any reason, then maybe a blanket is a really good idea. Precipitation matters. If it's raining or it's windy, does the horse have access to shelter? So once I have those questions resolved, then I think about which blanket is right. And again, that depends on where you live. So I know people that live in, Texas, Florida, California, where I wouldn't even dream of putting a blanket on my horse. And once it's below 70, they've got to, put something on. And then people who live in Minnesota says, well, if it doesn't get below 0, I don't even bother. So it kind of depends on what you and your horse are acclimated to. And my rule of thumb is, and I think you know this, is you blanket versus the high temperature of the day, not the low, because horses are pretty good at fending off cold weather as long as they're not wet, but they have to sweat and they have to dissipate heat, and they can't do that as well with clothes on. So I think of that, and I think that once you put a blanket on for the season, you kind of gotta leave it on, because you're pressing that hair down, and then that fluff that they naturally have can't work for them. That said, you can't just put a blanket on and leave it on the whole winter. You got to take it off and make sure the horse's body condition score is fine, and his skin is not having rain rot or something. So there's lots of things to think about. It sounded like an easy question when we got voted on. Maybe that's why it was the #1 question, but there's lots of factors. And so I'm sorry I can't give a simple this temperature and this temperature and this temperature. It's just not that simple, but hopefully that was a little bit to think about and not overwhelming.
I think it's great. I think it's important for people to know that there are a lot of factors that go into it. And if you guys at home want a little bit of help with combining and evaluating those factors, you can always check out the SmartPak Blanketing app. It's a great one to help you kind of think through those things. It asks you about body condition, it asks you about the age of the horse, and that's because you helped us make it.
And you did too.
I know, and that's why we love it so much. But it actually, works in all those factors and really helps you understand what kind of decisions you could be making for your horse, and so it helps you think through all those questions.
Right.